Welcome back. Let's continue on and talk about how you can learn what DoD has funded. All right, so the main way that you can do that is through using DTIC, or Defense Technical Information Center. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is a resource that you can access through the DTIC website, and it's received an upgrade in this within the past year, so it's a lot more useful now than it was in the past, so this is great news. Now, what they have here that are open, to the public for anyone to use are Minsky, this tool Minsky, which is an AI tool, and Dimensions. So let's take a quick look at both of those. Now, yep, that's DTIC. Now let us first look at Minsky. Okay, so when you get there, it's pretty self-explanatory what you want to do because there's a variety of different filters you can use. And so here in this panel on the left, I've selected Grant Award because that's what we're interested in. And I chose Lehigh. I searched Lehigh University. Let's see what they have going on there, right? I did not make any selections for field of study or anything like that. So with those simple selections, what we get here is this network that shows relationships, different types of relationships, and if you hover over these lines, it will tell you if this was a grant or, this person published with this person, and you can, learn some useful information that way. And what is shown here are grant awards. And so when you click on one of these, the abstract will pop up, but generally, for what I've found on these abstracts through Minsky, did not have the contact information of an individual, but you can usually get that just with a little bit of detective work. So there's not too much for me to show you here, given that you can figure out how to make the best use of this yourself. I do go into showing a little bit further, use of this in this video that I have posted on YouTube. It's only 7 minutes long, so it's not real in-depth, but I just play around with it a little bit more. So you're welcome to take a look at that and just see an example of using it there. But I think you're probably best off to just go give it a try yourself. Now, the other tool that's available to you through DTIC is Dimensions, which is a bit more of a conventional search tool. So also there are filters here on the left. And it looks like what I did here was to use the keyword of hyperspectral. That can probably come up in a variety of disciplines. Let's just see what comes up. And then selected here for DoD grant awards. We want to see what's associated with the grants, of course. That's what we're interested in. And we do get a number of different results that show up. And we see that there's, an award made for 58K and here for 1.1 million, etc. So, these are ones that you can click on. You can learn something about them. You can read the abstract and you'll see the names, as I'll show you in another slide, the names of the authors of these abstracts or reports if they're publications. Let's see now if we add another search term, like using the research organization to click specifically for options that include the Naval Research Laboratory, Air Force Research Laboratory, or Army Research Laboratory to learn who is publishing with researchers, scientists and engineers from those laboratories. So in this case, we see that a number of DoD publications come up. We didn't see anything under grant awards, but let's just take a look at what comes up for some of these publications. So in clicking on these, I clicked on the first one here, and you see, okay, this is an article that was published in Nano Letters, and there are authors listed as being from University of Pennsylvania and the Air Force Research Laboratory. So this was published very recently, and it's giving you the authors, and you can kind of start to learn what types of collaborations are happening between academics and folks at AFRL, and specifically who are those people, right? So let's just take a look at another one of the results. This one involves PIs from University of Missouri and Naval Research Laboratory, or NRL. So again, you're getting the name of the actual researcher here. And we go to LinkedIn, and you can find that individual there. And you can see, yes, they do work at NRL. So this all makes sense. So this would be a way that you could use, again, your detective work to connect to people using these tools and have a conversation with them about these topics. You know, if this is an area that's related to the work that you do, read the article and send the person an email or send them a message on LinkedIn and ask to have a chat about the research. It's a really good place to start. So to summarize how we can learn what DoD has funded, look at DTIC. Again, it's not really too valuable, I think, for me to spend a lot of time playing around with that here. Do that a little bit on the YouTube video, but just open it up yourself and get in there, type in your keywords and your institution, and just get started on that. The point here is that you want to look for the contact information for program officers, which generally you can find through the websites and through the BAAs. But with DTIC, you can find non-program officers. You can find, again, all these scientists and engineers who are doing the research. These are great people for you to get in touch with. And you can also complement this by using LinkedIn. You can search for people on LinkedIn directly. You can connect with people that you find through other means on LinkedIn. So this is tying back to some of our other lessons, but I hope that that's helpful, because I hope that this is showing that all of these pieces are really fitting together. So just for a moment, if I could take us back to that slide where we talked about the research funding process and all of the different steps along that timeline. Yeah, there are discrete steps, or we're going to represent what's on that timeline with discrete steps, so it makes sense, and so we can understand that there are steps. But in reality, these tasks and these conversations, they really kind of will blend together, right? So this is what I'm trying to convey, through this course, is that there are a whole series of activities related to finding the right people, keeping your focus on your research, learning what research is happening, having those technical conversations. These are all the kinds of things that you want to be doing, and learning what DoD has funded is just one way to advance that process. So again, following up with LinkedIn when you find these people. Now, USAspending.gov is another resource that is not unique to DoD. This is a very easy interface to use, so I will just send you over there. Go ahead and again use the filters that are on the left side. You do want to search for grants. You do want to search for recipient to be an institution of higher education, because that's going to give you your universities and not just every big government contract that went out. And that's something that you can use to also search for DoD-funded awards. Now, I will say with DTIC that there are awards that I know were made because they were to PIs who were supported in the program that I managed formerly. So I know they were funded. I made the recommendation to fund them and managed those awards for years, right? So I'm certain that they were funded. And I have not, they didn't come up in a quick search on DTIC. So I do know that, or through Dimensions was how I looked. So I do know that the Dimensions interface is new. It may possibly still be indexing all of the data that was in the previous repository for DTIC. So if you search for something that you believe was funded by DoD and you do not see it come up on DTIC, I wouldn't think too much about that. Your memory's probably right. It probably was funded by DoD, but maybe it's just not showing up there for some reason. You can go to USA Spending and look for it there. So just that little caveat. All right, so this is all we're going to cover for the DoD funding, what they have funded search. And I will see you over in the next lesson. We are going to talk about connecting with people at DoD. So this gets into Okay, you've got this contact information. I've encouraged you to reach out to people. Now, when you actually do make contact, what are those conversations going to look like? So we'll talk about that coming up.